Okay, guys, I've got a huge update for you. Actually, just recorded a whole 40-minute update and my audio was not working. You might have noticed from my last video, the audio cut out at the end. It's very tragic, all right? It wasn't meant to be, but I'm grinding. I'm literally just going to record the entire video all over again for you guys and just get to it. So in this video, I'm going to give you just like a very full and deep dived update on just all of this. Going to be just a huge data dump of all of the new information that has emerged over the last 24 hours. I've covered a few things in a couple other videos today, but this video is just going to be everything else that didn't really fit into those videos. Any big updates for you guys. And to start it off, there actually has been a huge update, a huge piece of news that's just came out on TMZ. So this is an article right here. Basically, it's been released by TMZ that Celeste's body has been released to the family. Okay, the family have been given the body. It's been turned back over to them. The autopsy has been completed. It still hasn't resulted in a at least publicly revealed cause of death, and that's likely to be making the whole investigation a lot more difficult to investigate. So yeah. So this is another post that's been going around in a new subreddit called David Unfiltered. So as I explained to you in previous videos, okay, David's subreddits have split up into a bunch of different groups. We started off with the original D4VD subreddit where he was actually sharing his own updates in there. Now this case came about. He basically has decided to take a step away as a moderator from that subreddit. He is essentially, you know, stepped away, made it so that you can't post on the original David subreddit, and that's where this David 2 subreddit popped off, right? So this one came about. There's now the David 2 subreddit, and then that was followed by a Celeste subreddit. This is the Celeste Rivas Hernandez subreddit, but now another subreddit has emerged called David Unfiltered, which people are basically saying is now the free speech version. They're saying that David 2 has actually seen a lot of moderation, a lot of posts being taken down and covered up. So now the David Unfiltered subreddit is the completely unfiltered, uncensored, and just open subreddit. And this is an interesting post that I saw going around on here. It said Celeste was allegedly using multiple fake IDs to look older and came from a troubled home. So there is a full TMZ article that's basically focusing on the cops looking into her troubled past and troubled home life. Okay, so this basically says LAPD's robbery homicide division has been tracking Celeste's history and they're trying to piece together the story of her life, according to our sources. We're told that the late Elsinore family contacted Riverside County law enforcement at least twice to report Celeste missing. The sources say homicide detectives believe there's a lot of evidence that Celeste comes from a troubled home and that may have triggered her desire to run away. And then they're talking about the liquor store where she was sighted beforehand. And people are basically saying it's unclear whether family called the cops in Hollywood in spring 2024 to find out if she'd been missing. And the sources say that Celeste was navigating her own way by having multiple fake IDs that presented her as much older than she really was. And people in the comment are saying, I wonder who copped that ID from her. All right. Just so you'll know, fake IDs cost a good amount of money. And for her to have had multiple of them is not cheap. So people are basically now saying that David might have laced her up with a fake ID and basically was just doing the most to try and make her seem older so she could navigate the scene as an adult. Now, this is interesting. This is allegedly something about Ponzalo, who was allegedly the person that took bribes from David. People are kind of on his case. This is what the original caption said. It says, Ponzalo was praised at first for being one of the only ones who was actively trying to take down David, but never could amount to anything. To me, he's now the scum of the earth for taking a bribe as well as not coming forward. It's still so surreal to me how preventable her passing and abuse was. People are saying, bro, at the end of the day, he's a kid. Her parents should be held accountable, not her classmates. But I still don't think the parents really deserve to be held to such a high standard. I think it is very sad. It is very unfortunate, but I think that as we saw from the last video that I did about the family, the family really are going through it right now, so I don't think they deserve to have the finger be pointed at them either. There's been a lot of discourse in the different David subreddits. This is in the David 2 subreddit. People are just saying all of this is crazy. I've been lurking on the original David sub and this sub now. All of the info we have been figuring out over the past few days really seems like the plot of a movie or something. This almost feels surreal in a way, but the saddest part is that somebody actually had to endure all of this pain and ultimately lose their life at the end of it. It's just too heartbreaking to even think about. Also, please look into what your younger siblings are doing online. At the age Celeste met David, kids think they know everything and they're invincible, when in reality they're at their most vulnerable they're at the most vulnerable point of their entire lives, and monsters like David can take advantage of that. I also love how this community turned on him with very few supporters at this point. The amount of time you guys put into finding every single piece of evidence is amazing. We all have to do our part to help bring justice for Celeste, whether it's digging through Discord messages, old TikToks, or even just spreading the word. All of you are helping. People are saying that digital footprint is mind-boggling. People are saying the music stuff is the most effed up in my opinion. Leaving clues and stuff in songs is insane. People said beyond clues, the whole goddamn tour was a homage to her murder. People are saying, well, that part's pure speculation, but it doesn't look good. The fact is, I don't think he made a single song since she passed, but it definitely shows where his mind was at. It's haunting and interesting, but I definitely would not get caught up in his lyrics. People are saying they just watched this video on his digital footprint. This is so dark.
15-year-old Celeste Riva.
So this is a whole video about the digital footprint that he left. To be honest, I think this will all be stuff that we've already covered in videos, so I won't go into this video, but you can go and check that out if you want. He was saying it does feel like a movie, but we need to keep in mind that this isn't some ARG. This is really a case where a young girl lost her life in a horrific way. I've seen some people romanticizing all of this and treating David like he's some obsessed, lovesick mastermind who planned all this out. Hell no, David is a bastard, a loser. No, he is not a mastermind, he's a sick freak. And no, he was not madly in love with Celeste. He's a PDF and a grown freak, and a control freak, and a grown man who preyed on a young innocent girl because he knows kids are too easy to fool. Other than that, I'm proud of David's community for owning up and turning against him. I was not a fan of this guy's music, so I can't relate to the people who felt betrayed and disgusted by him, but I'm glad that the majority did what's right and tossed his stuff out of their playlists. Also, we must remember and shame the bastards who definitely knew and enabled this kind of behavior on David's Discord, and even the moderator of David's Reddit. I'm talking about Carp, Moji, Safia, and that mod that tried to delete messages too, and the previous mod of David's subreddit. They were all saying some weird stuff about little children, except Safia and the man who tried to delete messages, but her behavior was definitely suspicious when it comes to knowing who Celeste was at the time. This person says, I completely agree with you there. David is not smart. In fact, he's one of the dumbest I know of, which is a good thing because it means more evidence for law enforcement and the sooner that he rots in jail. This says he legit left a digital footprint from hell and no one ever thought to say anything. These chatting apps are way too dangerous for kids and we see it time and time again. He was saying the amount of revolting things I've seen and heard come out of that Discord is just insane. They need to enforce policies more and improve moderation. They're saying Discord will often protect these types of people. I've noticed it a long time ago, right? He was saying, I so agree with what you said. I've been following everything and only joined to connect with people tonight, but the work people have put in for this, for her sake is admirable. She deserves justice. I've been all over TikTok telling people what others have found here and that have a real base as opposed to speculation and silliness. Everyone stay strong. They're saying, I've seen some effed up stuff on the internet, but it's great to see so many people are willing to give their free time to put this monster behind bars. People love comparing this to a movie, but growing up and learning more about this world is realizing a fact is always worse than fiction. I'm a fan of true crime, and yes, unfortunately, I've heard of cases worse than this, but this involving someone famous and most people on the outside unproblematic, them learning that most of this stuff was going on in the public view and others knew and were complicit, this is effed up. One word to describe it, horrific. Poor girl, she was 13. F you, David, F you. All right. I struggle to see any logic in his actions, but did he really think that nobody would find out until she was 18 and everyone would just be thinking it's a rather big age gap? What was the end game here, crime aside? I wish the police would come out with a statement to answer some questions and quiet the insane theories. People saying, don't waste your time trying to understand a child predator and killer. Those are two things you hopefully would never do, and so you will never have the capacity to enter his mind. If you put a gun to my head, I'd guess psychosis or narcissism. Definitely some borderline personality disorder in there. But like I said, I don't care why people choose to do these things, just that they did them and they need to immediately be taken out of society. Yep, there's some of the lyrics that seem to confirm this too, that he knew it was over for him after this, kind of a sick obsession of a desensitized individual with feelings for a minor who just couldn't keep his sick fantasies in check and finally lived them out. I can't make much else out of all of this. The end game was an art project, a performance piece. He knew his life was over. This is all like an anime or a game to him. The game plan at one point was basically that barely hiding Celeste and just kind of waiting until she's 18, and then something seems to have changed around April 2025, and now we're here. I can't help but wonder if David realized that this plan was utterly terrible, and she would always be able to basically blackmail him. So there's still just a bunch of conversation about this, you know. I don't need to go any further, too much further, all right? Let's read this last comment. Nobody has figured anything out. Everyone's following the leads he's been leaving for the last 3 years and being totally manipulated by him. I watched a video where someone went through all of his songs and he 100% knew Everyone would be here talking about him in this way in the Petals to Thorns EP trailer. He says, I've left parts of me throughout this project in different areas of melody, lyrics, and delivery. You'll feel it when you get there. Follow me now through this journey of holding a rose petal by petal until they fall short, and I have no choice but to catch it by the thorns, and we're doing exactly that, following his entire journey. He's manipulating thousands of people, and we're falling for it. As the sub, members, posts, and streams increased, he is proven right. Now, some people are mad at all of the speculation going on. Okay, this is another post in David 2. It says, okay, some of y'all are becoming delusional now, and it's showing. While people are coming up with actual information, some of you are just posting straight BS. Wait on the authorities and more news outlets on this case rather than posting a bunch of BS that's not going to help this child. Okay? People are basically saying, look, it's a lot of effing kids in here posting dumb stuff. I just saw a post where somebody posted a screenshot of David commenting on a producer's IG from 166 weeks ago, and the idiot OP was like, is he stealing beats? Like, what in the actual F? Okay. So people saying, I wholly agree, it's too convoluted in here. There's too many reposts and people asking the same questions over and over or posting irrelevancy or doxing. Can the mods please step in, not to critique, but to suggest and perhaps clean this up and give us a hub to post all of these people's posts into more and be more organized? I don't think it's fair for people to be defensive and argue when we're all in here for the same reasons. So somebody would actually go on to give their personal opinion on the David situation. That's a shame. That's a shame. I did actually see this the last time I recorded this video, but it is what it is. Okay. Anyway, this is a video that's going around. I actually spoke about this in a previous video, but this is basically somebody trying to expose David all the way back in December 2024, basically saying that the kids are being paid off to not talk about it, and that essentially there is a bunch of creepy, nefarious stuff going on behind the scenes.
Giving thousands of dollars to kids. Now, why did he do this? To hide his little secret of him dating a minor. Yup. Who knows if he's still dating this minor? And people coming, proof. Why the fuck else would he randomly go unnoticed, no one knows about this, to meet kids, bring them canes, give them thousands of dollars? Why else would he do that? Why else would any celebrity do that? You know exactly why. And I'm not just guessing here. This is a picture from someone who knew the girl, and they told me this story.
So a lot of people are saying, this is crazy. I can't believe. I wonder what made the kids who were paid off in 2024 start talking about it later. But people said they're scared to right now. Someone had contacted them and said this could ruin their lives. I mean, it's illegal to extort someone, and they did know of a crime being committed and didn't report it for money. So yeah, I don't know if they'll talk. They'd have to be offered some immunity before talking, and they still, in my opinion, should not go public because they're going to get a lot of death threats because they could have saved her. I'd also like to hear their side, but I can't imagine they would. I also seen an interesting theory about him not paying them the last payment and them being possibly responsible for her demise. It's a huge reach, but it's an interesting, and seeing how fearful they were about this after her demise makes me wonder. But people are saying little kids get a pass. They were like 12 to 14. They're getting a lot of money and probably didn't understand the severity of the situation. I always thought that this is exactly why he would do it. Yes, you pay them off and that sucks, but you now have leverage over them in a way too. Now their hands are also unclean. People try to actively rope people into criminal conspiracies like this. It's why clean cops in bad districts would be bullied and victimized for literally nothing other than not accepting bribes. If everyone's hands are dirty, nobody is snitching. I can't get over how many people know. I mean, this video was posted almost 9 months prior to her body being found and 4 months prior to him playing Coachella. It's just wild. And that's the picture of the alleged payments being made. It looks like David's holding his phone or some money. And this is that image where he got out of his Tesla back in December. Okay, it actually is twisted. So this is another post that I found interesting. Now, this is from another subreddit that's completely unrelated called 2X Chromosomes, okay? And it's a subreddit focused on women's perspectives on things that are going on. It's got quite a lot of people. It's got 2 million weekly visitors to the sub. So this is a big subreddit, and someone made a very thoughtful and deep post that I thought was interesting. It says, the David situation right now is why I will always trust the victim first. It says, I've been following the news pretty closely since it came out. When the body was found in his car at first, I was shocked and expected it to be a case of a stolen vehicle or something. I just thought it was a coincidence. But in the last 24 hours, the victim has been identified to be a 14-year-old girl who had allegedly been dating the singer since she was 12. Mind you, this means they would have met when he was 17 or 18. As much as I feel for the girl's family, And as much as I'm horrified by the information that keeps coming out about the relationship he had with her, I can't help but feel like the public reaction to the situation would have been so different if the girl hadn't been murdered. If she somehow survived that relationship and came out years later to accuse David, absolutely no one would have even believed her. Even right now, there's a lot of evidence that's been found of the relationship with her, but some people are still defending him. Others are trying to downplay the nature of their relationship. This just shows that she would have been not believed at all had she lived to tell the tale. The reality saddens me so much. As far as I know, David has not been made a suspect in the actual murder, so I cannot say much about that. But I find it absolutely disgusting that such a young girl had so much taken away from her. I find it disgusting that an adult would even have a relationship with a minor. Abusers don't have a look. They always look like absolute monsters. Sometimes they have a pretty face and a soulful voice, and that sucks. My heart goes out to the victim and her family. People in the comments are saying, my head hurts for her. That was a little girl. There's some song he wrote about just waiting 7 more years, so it sounds like he was already grooming her when she was 11. I can't imagine how scared she was. And it says there's a text between her and a friend where she talks about how he made her bleed and says he's going to try and keep her distance from him, and he definitely did not wait for her. He is, if nothing else, an R word and a P word. If her friend's theory that her parents and sister peed her out are true, I hope they all catch charges. This woman says, I've been crying all day. Something similar happened to my friend. It's just so terrible. One of the worst parts is the police didn't really give a shit about finding her because she was also from a poor Latino family. She's just disposable to the ruling class, and I still feel like they're treating her like that now. I mean, why hasn't he been arrested yet? There should have been enough evidence, right? She was in his car. They're pictured together. The mom knew she was dating someone named David, and they have matching tattoos. That should be enough, right? But they care more about breaking up families and antagonizing the homeless. Says, I'm surprised he's not in custody. Maybe I don't know how these procedures work, but finding a dead body seems to be probable cause for holding someone at least. But it says if they charge and arrest without proper evidence, a legal error is more likely. A legal error is also more likely to lead to a case being dropped. But I'm so confused too, because it was in his car. I get that he's not charged yet, but how is he not at least arrested though? I was arrested years ago for a hit and run I didn't even commit. They didn't even have evidence, and eventually they dropped the case, but I was still arrested without evidence. People saying, I think it will be coming soon. LAPD just confirmed an hour ago his home was raided by the LAPD homicide team last night, and they left with a computer and several evidence bags. Also, the LAPD told NBC LA yesterday that they're still waiting for the full coroner's report on the mode and manner of the death to apply a crime classification. Yeah, it's messed up. It's actually so messed up. Okay, I'm genuinely so angry for her because of how obvious his lyrics were and public their relationship. There's no effing way not one friend, parent, teacher, or anything didn't notice something were up. People are too quick to excuse their creepy homeboys or blame a little girl that this somehow was allowed to escalate to the point of her death. Celeste was failed, we failed her, and she died. People saying they don't even know who David is, all right? But people were commenting that he had apparently, people were basically making very coincidental posts about him, about minors a while ago. So this was an old post David made back in 2023. And interestingly, he's asking his audience, does anyone have any tips on how to not be the literal worst person in the world? Clearly, these tips didn't help out David because he is looking like an absolute monster. But somebody actually commented on this, don't talk to minors. Really doesn't seem that hard, though. And a lot of people in the comments are saying, look, this is probably just a coincidence. So many people knew, but nobody reported it. Not that nobody reported it. It's the adults in this situation, like Celeste's parents and the cops, brought her back home when she ran away, neglected the common courtesy of even trying to help her when she was still competent. Her family sold her for David's filthy money. But this person had a good perspective. They said, my guess is honestly a coincidence. I think this is a bit of a stretch with how much influencers have been cancelled for such. It seems like more of a joke, as it was about not being a bad person. Pretty sure that's what his post was about. And it was more like saying that talking to minors is a bad person thing and not doing it doesn't even seem difficult. It's worded poorly, but you get the gist of what I mean. I know I've worded stuff similar to that and used it in a non-accusing way to someone. Someone saying, yeah, I interpreted it like this too. In the TikTok video, he seems to ask advice on how not to be the worst person ever, and the guy in the reply says, don't talk to minors because sadly a lot of celebrities do it and ruin their careers for this reason. I don't think the guy in the replies knew, to be honest, but I also find myself thinking, please don't secretly be a creep about celebs I like or stuff like that. Before anyone accuses me of random stuff, I'm not defending David in any way. I actually despise him for what he did to Celeste. I just don't think the guy who replied it knew. Okay. Now, some people are defending David. I don't condone this next one that I'm about to show you, but, okay, people are saying some people should be buried with David. This guy said, why did Celeste ruin his Fortnite collab, El Celeste? And people were in the comments trying to defend it. Minus 33, gonna make that minus 34. No, deadass, though, I wanted the skin. People are arguing, saying a little girl is dead and you're worried about Fortnite skin. Be so for real, sicko, right? And they're saying that the comments are just rage baiting over a 14-year-old who was groomed and murdered at the age of 12. Loser behavior, regardless of if you're joking a lot. And then this fool are going to be another downvote. So how do you know she was murdered? Maybe she overdosed, man. People are actually tapped. Okay, people are actually so tapped. Okay, so there was actually a timeline of the incident on the news. They broke down a couple of things that we probably already covered, but more of this stuff is circulating. This was from News Nation, and they're saying this sums up the entire timeline of the case.
2022, when Celeste Rivas Hernandez was just 12. Let me repeat, 12 years old. At that time, David, the singer, was 17 and taking part in a group chat with his fans on Discord. And in the chat, he wrote, "Celeste in here?" To which someone named Celeste replied, "Hi, David, bark." The two seemed familiar with each other, which means if this really was Celeste Rivas Hernandez in the chat, whose birthday was September 7th, they may have actually connected when she was only 11. Fast forward, December 2023, a demo of a love song by David leaks out online, and the name of the demo song is Celeste. Days later, on January 11th, 2024, David appears on a live stream with a girl who looks an awful lot like Celeste Rivas Hernandez. The girl tells him, "We need to delete this." David tells the moderators, quote, "Mods, can we delete all vids? And then as soon as the stream ends, delete the stream too?" The following month, February 2024, Celeste Rivas Hernandez goes missing for the first time before returning home. February 26, 2024, David posts something on TikTok and another user comments, and I quote, "Waiting for LAPD to get your ass for messing with a 13-year-old girl." A month later, March 28th, 2024, David's fans discuss rumors that he's dating someone, and one of the fans writes, "Yeah, her name is Celeste." April 5th, 2024, Celeste Rivas Hernandez is reported missing. Her brother says she was going to the movies that day with someone named David. Almost 3 months later, June 27th, 2024, David reposts a TikTok video of someone chopping up meat. The caption reads, quote, "Me if I see her talk with other dudes." Skip ahead to February 2025. The music video for David's song, "One More Dance," is released, and it features a body being dragged and put into the trunk of a car. David plays both the killer and the victim in the video. 1 month later, March 2025, David releases his Withered album. 5 months later, August 5th, 2025, David starts his world tour. And 1 month later, on September 3rd, 2025, neighbors in the Hollywood Hills, near to where David had been staying, noticed the singer's Tesla abandoned on the side of the road. 3 days later, September 6th, the car is towed to an impound lot. The very next day, September 7th, is Celeste's 15th birthday. But one day after that, September 8th, workers at the impound lot call police because of a terrible stench coming from the Tesla that had just been towed there. Police open the trunk and discover the badly decomposed remains of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. She's wrapped in plastic. This Celeste has the same tattoo on her right index finger as the singer David does. It reads, "Shh."
Man, it's just messed up, man. It's so messed up. Just seeing all of that just laid out is actually twisted. So sorry, I got a special guest on the video right now. I don't think he's got any strong opinions about the situation, but he's been following very closely. Okay, yeah, you're just gonna, yeah, okay. So basically, all right, there's been a lot of talk about this guy Zerks, who was apparently a moderator for David on his Twitch streams and potentially on his Discord, right? And people were saying that there's now proof that they're way closer than people were expecting. So this is a clip where he's essentially saying how tapped in he was with Zerks, and we're going to see some more stuff in a minute that relates to this and basically explains how much closer they were than people thought.
Thank you, Zerks. Martin, I'm so glad you're safe. I remember Martin said he was going into the military for something. I'm glad you're back with us. I'm glad you survived, dude. That's really crazy. Thank you for... Huh?
How about Asian?
That's Martin. Martin is Asian. Thank you so much, Martin. I'm glad you're home safe. Keep doing what you do. You're the GOAT. Zerks, you're also the GOAT. Kylie, you're kind of the GOAT, but like you're the GOAT, but like you're kind of the GOAT. Like Zerks is way more the GOAT than you, like no cap. But thank you guys. Am I missing any mods? Am I missing any mods? We have more mods to thank. Should be it, right? Alright, yeah, nah. Zerks my top #1 GOAT. Me and Zerks go way back. When he was Zerks-fi. Well, he still is Zerks-fi, but he used to really be Zerks-fi. Ain't nobody rock with Zerks-fi when he was Zerks-fi, but now they want to rock with him because he's Zerks. Crazy.
So he's saying they go way back. That's his guy. That's his GOAT. And then there's been a bunch of stuff in here of him in the Discord. It's saying, I met David at Safia. All right. Got a pic with David at a restaurant. All right. Sen said, damn, is this the Zerks who deleted a ton of stuff that Moji had messaged in the chat? I thought he was some dumbass kid, but this dude looks like a grown-ass adult. And they're saying, yep, that's the one. I heard that he's 23, started getting involved with David in 2021 when he was 21 years old. And they're saying he wants to be a kid so bad that he's got exclusive pictures of David recording in bed. So these two were clearly close. That's a bigger picture of them two together. And apparently this is actually the person who was managing streams for David. So this is when he popped up. Is that, I don't know if that's Benny Blanco that he's with, but he's referencing Zerks in this.
Yo, Zerks, make sure that just click on BandLab so they can still see it. Yeah.
Who's Zerks?
My mom. See, he's the one that's moving the screen right now without me touching it.
Hey, Zerks, make David a little bit taller so he looks better in the stream.
So he's got Zerks managing the stream, right? It says this video speaks for itself. This indicates he probably also had access to the streams with Celeste and knows more than we think. It says ex-Twitch mod here. David is guilty as F and Zerks knew too. However, he for a fact doesn't have the VOD for the stream and wasn't able to control the stream at that time. He only did that for planned streams like concerts, and the cooking stream was apparently unplanned. However, Slim, Twitch mod, and he knew too. We have screenshot evidence of that. Apparently has the entire VOD. He knew about Celeste at that point in time and probably thought he could leverage it if he had it. I don't effing care, but I know that he has it. People saying that LAPD should look into this. People saying that LAPD should look into anyone closely associated with David for sure. Okay, and now a lot of people have been pointing out that it seems like David's whole musical career was actually based on this relationship with Celeste. It was a massive part of his career, a massive part of his music and his inspiration, and people have been pointing that out and basically saying that that's creepy as hell. It says this guy would not have been David or the one we know today if he hadn't had this weird fixation on Celeste. Look at his romantic homicide music video. Bro basically sacrificed her and had the whole world singing his sick fantasy like a creepy ritual. I wanted to point this out since I don't see anyone else talking about it. It says, yeah, in my opinion, he was romanticizing her death the whole time until, sadly, it became a reality. This says, yeah, horrible. He made money off this sick thought. R.I.P. Celeste. I know he manipulated her for sure. David, so what was the inspiration for the funeral motif on tour? This trial will be insane. People saying, I hadn't heard of him until all of this, but I've spent the last few days down this rabbit hole and listened to most of his songs. It's pretty creepy how obsessed with her he clearly is throughout the songs. This person says, yeah, it's insane. I wonder what the alternative story would have been had he not done this. He probably would have gone underground and had a small following. People saying, I don't think he sacrificed her so much as he, like many dangerous people, was obsessed with her, and eventually that obsession turned violent. It says he was also obsessed with violence and gore. His obsession didn't turn violent. I think the obsession was a violent one to begin with. Okay. And they're pointing out people deleting weird comments. Someone says, I can't stand when a famous person does something really bad. We really don't fully know it was him yet, but it's very likely. And then those people back them up to the fullest. Even when it's something like murder. Come on, that's so messed up to this poor girl. And we have no idea what even happened to her and what she went through in her last moments. So many people will make it about the perpetrator and forget there's a victim who lost their young life. Didn't even get to experience becoming an adult and experience life. Shake my head. Even if it winds up somehow not being him, he seemingly was with a minor romantically and sexually as well. People need to not glorify things like this. The laws are there to protect children. That's so messed up, man. I don't really buy the sacrifice thing either, but yes, his entire career is based off and on Celeste. Even in his music videos, he always has an older Latina girl who resembles Celeste play in them. He was obsessed with 0907, her birthday, and he released Romantic Homicide on her birthday, and in the following year on the same day, her birthday, he released more songs, and then there's literally the leaked unreleased demo, quite literally titled Celeste. David, if you're actively browsing these subreddits and are reading what everyone's saying, please be brave. If you want us to remember you, you need to give, or at least leave an explanation. Please don't make it all about you. Please give her family some peace. A video recording, anything, please. People are saying, I want to know why it ended this way. It's breaking my brain trying to understand. Clearly, he had her heart forever. He could have just kept her hidden. Why did she have to be killed? It said David is legally an adult and has to abide by laws that affect adults, but he probably was still deep down a child himself, mentally speaking. He was a very talented singer and songwriter, but this is a person who was homeschooled most of his life and was sheltered. In his mind, she probably betrayed him somehow. He expected this little girl to have the mindset of an adult and could be able to treat the relationship as a serious couple, something expected of adults, but she was a baby. She probably acted her literal age at times sometimes, and this hurt David. Perhaps the poor thing just wanted to finally go home and not be a missing person anymore. Perhaps David knew if she were to do this, he would be implicated in kidnapping her, and then their sexual relationship and relationship in general would come to light. Perhaps she said she wanted to tell on him. Perhaps she cheated, enough to make him jealous, and this enraged him. I don't know, but this is so heartbreaking. Okay. Now, a lot of people have still been trying to speculate and work out exactly when the murder might have taken place. This is a post that I'm going to be covering in more detail in another video. But essentially, there's this Itami thing, all right, that David apparently, he had an alter ego, and he had some merch pressed up for this Itami character that he'd created, a Japanese word for pain, damage, or distress. And it claimed that Itami was born in February of 2023, and that's when she went missing on the Valentine's Day. And the character died in August 2025. And the messages I found of Celeste's brother saying she was dead for about 2 weeks would line up. The link was originally posted about a week ago. If that's correct, she would have died around the 24th to the 30th of August. People saying, I also believe she was murdered in August 25. I didn't do too much research on his tour schedule at that time, but I would bet his money he would have the opportunity to do it again. And this post is basically about the Itami thing. It says, from what I've gathered about their relationship, it started in fall 2023, becoming official on February 2023 when she first left home. His alter ego character Itami was born on February 2023 and dies in August of 2025. I want to know any information any former fan or researcher can find about Itami. What's the behavior of this character? What songs has it appeared in before? Now, look, I'm going to do a full update on this Itami thing probably tomorrow. I've got a bunch of links, and I'm going to dig even deeper into it and just break everything down about that. But that is definitely something that we're going to be looking into a lot more, and it is definitely very troubling, this Itami character. So another thing I really wanted to share with you guys that I thought was really interesting, I've watched this a couple of times now, but there's essentially this guy who's a licensed therapist, what's his name, Austin Carlo, who's given a very deep and in-depth analysis of what he thinks is kind of the psychology of this crime. And it was very, very insightful. So I want to share this with you and get your thoughts on this too.
This is a licensed therapist's take on the David situation. So first off, all the information we have here is conjecture, so I'm just using it to help teach people about concepts that could be helpful. Hollywood has a history of overlooking and downplaying or dismissing relationships with teenage girls, which of course is predatory in nature. We've seen it here with R. Kelly, with Woody Allen, lately the Bad Baby stuff coming out. There is a lot of this, unfortunately, it's rampant. So I'd like to explain why not only legally it's wrong, but why ethically it's wrong, because others will dismiss this or look the other way. First off, you must understand that children's prefrontal cortexes aren't very developed at all. So they're really predisposed to kind of flawed forms of logic or what we call magical thinking. And that's really easy to exploit if you're somebody older. So magical thinking could be, oh, we're going to be famous and run away together, or, oh, they're going to get over this huge problem and actually know how to value and nurture me, or whatever it is. It's so much higher in kids, which is why they're off limits in this way. In the same vein, they're prone to idealization and devaluation, meaning they're all black or all white, all good or all bad. So if they really want something, they're likely to be more prone to be in denial about it, meaning David's status, all of these different aspects of him, perhaps him saying nice things or getting presents or writing songs about her, whatever it is, hypothetically, she'd be prone to view him as all good because of these things. There'd be a lot of cognitive dissonance there.
So I think this is a big part of it. And I told a story when I recorded this earlier. I'm re-recording it now. But look, I'm a realist. Look, all right, I'll just keep it real. I am a very low tier celebrity now, okay? I get recognized in the street because of my YouTube channel. I'm very blessed. I'm very, very grateful for the position that I'm in because of YouTube. But I'm a low level celebrity out here, okay? I get recognized. People want pics with me. It's cool. I'm very grateful for that. But sometimes I do meet people and they behave really weirdly towards me. Now, I'm no Michael Jackson. I'm no Drake. Pause, all right? Those are very weird examples to give in this context. But sometimes I've met people that are fans and they've acted all weird. And no disrespect, but it's like sometimes people are like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I can't believe it's you. And it's like, I just see myself as a normal dude. I see myself as just a normal, humble dude. I'm just a weird hip-hop fan from Bognor that has just, made it somewhere in life and has some people following him. I find it really odd when people come at me with that weird sort of celebrity worship type energy, because I really don't see myself that way. I just see myself, I'm just a normal dude. Like, I'm just a normal dude. Like, I can just have a normal conversation with you. Like, tell me your name, we'll just have a normal conversation. The whole weird, like, oh my God, I can't believe it. It's actually super strange. But it just goes to show you that, like, I think people have this celebrity worship. They see you on TV, they see you on YouTube or in music, and you have this aura, right? I don't see that aura. I'm just a normal, regular, down-to-earth dude. But when people come at me with that energy, it makes me realize, like, oh, there really is this sort of sick celebrity worship going on out here in society. And I think just because you got numbers, because you got money, because you got clout, fame, whatever you want to call it, people do treat you differently. People treat you weird. Now, most of my fans are adults. I think my biggest age range is 25 to 35, and a lot of my fans are real members, real steppers, all right? Street dudes that, older dudes, maybe they've been through a lot. and people that know how to carry themselves, basically. So that weird fanned out energy, I can't say I get a lot. I don't really have or know of any child fans, thankfully, right? It's not really the market I'm trying to go for, but I couldn't imagine you got this as a little girl. She's 11 talking to David on Discord. It was probably extremely overwhelming for her to even be talking to a so-called celebrity, right? Let alone you end up getting sucked into this sordid relationship with him when you're underage and you're getting paraded around. He's dropping songs on your birthday, love bombing you. That must have been really overwhelming for Celeste to deal with. And frankly, I can't imagine, just based on the small interactions that I've had with fans, for somebody to be so overwhelmed with you and for you to be saying that you love them, making songs about them, posting them, giving them your hand-me-down clothes, wearing matching Hello Kitty fits, that actually mentally was probably too much for this child to process. And I think that that's why it's really unfair to put any blame on her or the family, because this is a very unique situation. Even the family maybe was starstruck and were just like, what the hell? Like, this famous guy wants to date our underage daughter. Like, what? Like, this is so hard to process. And, there's been a lot of talk of these guys, the kids that were sent to go and stay overnight at Michael Jackson's house, or even the kids that were sent to the R. Kelly shows. Like, a lot of people, their families were just overwhelmed. They were fanned out, all right? They were just fanned out, starstruck by these celebrities. They couldn't believe their kids wanted to go and spend a night at Michael Jackson's house. They didn't even want to believe that it was as nefarious as it might well have been. So I think this is really important info that this therapist is sharing, and I think this gives so much more context as to why this was allowed to happen for so long. Even all of these weirdos in the Discord that were seemingly protecting him and sweeping this under the rug, these guys were starstruck over David. These guys were worshipping David, and they were probably having a hard time telling him no. They were probably having a hard time actually even like enforcing their morality on the situation, because they're so fanned out and starstruck that it's hard for them to even stand up to somebody that you're looking up to and say, yo, like, you're a predator, this is wrong. Even for me, bro, like, the amount of people, bro, that don't respect what I do, they think that, you shouldn't be doing videos on the streets, or you're a white guy talking about hip-hop music or whatever. But, like, I've never had a bad interaction in person. Like, even people that I can tell that maybe they're like, oh man, like, you be doing crazy, you be talking too much, but they rock with me, they're starstruck, they're happy when they meet me. I've never had a bad interaction. And like, a lot of these street dudes, little famous rappers, guys that have allegedly got bodies, I've ran into these guys and they're cool, they're rocking with me, they like me, they're low-key, some of the people I've met who are real steppers you wouldn't expect, low-key a little tiny bit fanned out. And, that's no disrespect. I respect it. I'm fanned out too, to be with a guy that's a famous drill rapper. But at the same time, it just goes to show you these celebrity auras, they really change the way people see you and behave around you. But sorry to derail that, but let's keep going with this.
Because of his power and stature, would be deferred to as this halo effect around him. We really have to be careful when it comes to authority and power with kids, because we actually program them to somewhat be good victims in a sense, in certain ways societally. If we teach them that the deference is to authority, or you should always respect authority, they're way less likely to speak up. Also, if you don't use the proper names for things like private parts or different things along that nature, a kid might not understand the context or be able to communicate the context of what's actually happening to them. But this authority piece is really, really big because there's always power dynamics and power differences, right? A grown man over a young girl, a famous person over a young girl, someone with a lot of money over a young girl. There's a lot of also implicit aggression and violence to that, I'm bigger than you, I have physical stature over you, you can't leave me, which again would lead to this young person totally idealizing this person, really out of fear, somewhat like Stockholm syndrome, think that. Also, part of the prefrontal cortex being underdeveloped is related to risk-taking and risk assessment, meaning somebody who's a child doesn't understand the risk of what they're getting into, they don't understand the ramifications, they don't understand how they could get in deep. There's a huge problem here. Whether implicitly or implicitly, sexual predators understand this to be a thing. And many people don't know this, but sexual predators are actually different than files or any other variants of that. The variance is up file, which is really late stage adolescence, 15 to 19 file is, early adolescence, 11 to 15. And actually this happening when she turned 15 is actually very indicative of what this person would likely be attracted to, because typically there's discarded as an object when they get too old. And again, whether implicitly or implicitly, this person who's a sexual predator understands what they're doing. Now, these terms are actually not mutually inclusive, meaning you could be a sexual predator and you're really going for victims here. It could be any age, but they have to be vulnerable. Or you could be a file, which is a matter of attraction to children. And oftentimes they're both. In this case, it would be both. Here you often see the bystander effect, which means that basically a lot of people around their circle might see this happening, but they assume somebody else is going to do something about it. Or they actually dismiss their own feelings about it because this person's status is so strong. An example of this is Milgram's experiment, in which he got people to give painful electric shocks, obviously it wasn't real, with people screaming on the other side simply because they had a lab coat on. People really will just follow authority simply because it's authority, no matter what it is. This is how kind of huge tragedies happen, and there's actually a logical fallacy named after this. So people won't call it out because they either think somebody else is going to, again, akin to bystander effect, or there's a fallacy to authority in which they just accept the authority because they must know what they're doing. Predators like being idealized, right? They like that somebody is naive and innocent or whatever it is because they're easier to manipulate. It's easier to get that narcissistic supply fed with somebody idealizing them. And when that doesn't happen, there could often be danger. And in these situations, especially when somebody decides to leave, usually a young woman or a girl, that's usually when the violence really happens in huge swings because there's a threat to the abuser's power. So no, it's not dating, it's not girlfriend. This is a actual predator with a little girl. So I just wanted to clarify different aspects of this, why it's wrong ethically, so you can explain these things. Because we tend to have these psychological principles where we don't want to look at these pretty disgusting things that happen in society because they make us uncomfortable. But people will always try to exploit authority, and it's up to us to make it our mission to call it out on a large scope, and also educate our children on what this looks like, and then try to look at the warning signs and see them as they are.
I thought that was a really good clip and just really great analysis. And, you know, a lot of people have given their thoughts on this, saying it's not just in Hollywood, it's everywhere. Your average woman will have stories of older men hitting on them or grooming them as children. I know I do, and it's messed me up for life. The most searched term on P sites begins with a T. It's beyond disturbing. I don't know why PDFs are so normal in our culture or what makes men do this. I can't wrap my brain around it. Now, there's another post that's going around that kind of wraps up a bunch of the whole theories together. Some people aren't feeling this, but I did think this was interesting, so I wanted to get into it. This says, look, here's all the possible explanations and theories behind Celeste's death. Theory 1, David groomed Celeste, R-worded her, and killed her once she became pregnant, fearing it would ruin his career and reputation. Theory 2, David is a PDF who groomed Celeste, R-worded her, and then got immensely jealous and angry when she wanted to leave the relationship and thus took her life. Theory 3, David is a PDF who groomed Celeste, got into a relationship with her, did the R-word to her, and then she overdosed in his car and died. David then dismembered the body in order to hide the evidence to ensure no one knew he was involved with the child. The fourth theory is David intentionally got in a relationship with an underage girl and wanted to kill Celeste so he could write songs about it and leave clues about it in online and twisted, like a twisted psycho fantasy game. David is a psychopath monster who loves to kill and commit violence, going off his I love gore post, and wanted an opportunity to kill someone to enact his fantasy. Or theory 5, David never groomed or R-worded her, highly unlikely given all the evidence and implications, but it was simply a platonic friendship, somebody who helped Celeste while she ran away from an abusive household, and then she likely either took her own life or was killed by someone else. David then hid her remains in his car, extremely unlikely given all the evidence, but not impossible. What are your thoughts? Now, somebody clapped back at this and reposted it and said, okay, I get wanting to know what happened, but we're not detectives. We don't know what happened, and we shouldn't assume and put false info out there. But I get where you're coming from. It's just odd. 1, Celeste was a minor, so yes, the PDF thing is confirmed. There's no autopsy report out yet, so we can't just assume that he R-worded her and got her pregnant to kill her. 2, just leave the theories up to the police because LAPD is handling the case. It might seem slower than the usual cases, but you've got to be reminded that these cases take longer because they got to get substantial evidence besides online screenshots. They've got to search all of his devices, so it's going to take a while. 3, don't just leave theories without providing evidence. It's weird to theorize this in the first place. Okay, so I thought those were interesting theories. Now, people are noticing there's been another Discord that started to investigate David, but unfortunately, this has gone left. It seems like David's fan base or anyone associated with him just can't help but post creepy stuff. So people are saying that there's predators in this Discord that's been investigating. The Preds pretending to investigate the case have now deleted all of the chats in general. Thankfully, I still have proof on hand. So they restarted the general chat in this Discord. And basically, people have actually now said that the Investigating David Discord has been officially locked. Thanks to this person's post and reports. Keep going, they'll get banned fully. And this says this server was created to discuss and document evidence related to the case, but inappropriate comments have been made by a few members and don't reflect our community's goals. We made this server to discuss the ongoing case, and I apologize that the goal of the server was lost in translation during the chaos. We're trying to work everything out, and it now says the server's been limited by Discord due to server manipulation and reviewing the Discord terms of service. We don't think we've done anything wrong, but Discord are not feeling it. They're not allowing it. There's been too much messed up stuff going on over there. Okay. So another image has been circulating. This image had already been going around, but now it's been combined with some context and it looks even worse. So there was this picture of Celeste allegedly wearing an engagement ring out for some smoothies with David at a restaurant, and people have realized that looks like the same sweater that he was wearing in this modeling campaign. Okay, so that is very creepy. It looks like they were sharing clothes. There's a bunch of Hello Kitty clothes that we've now seen as well. People saying they're already way too much proof of their relationship, so there's no dodging that. What I suspect he'll do is claim they broke up months ago to distance himself and make it look like he simply assumed she went home. That way, the lack of recent contact seems natural. But we all know this is LA. Cameras are all over gates. Teslas record every raccoon. And this dude lives online 24/7. So the evidence file is going to be thick. Good luck hiding from LAPD homicide. So there's other people that were saying that he was secretly a predator on his old Discord. Some people were saying this was said tongue-in-cheek, but somebody actually said David could secretly be a pred at the end of this Discord. They're saying David could secretly be a predator. You never know. And this was in December of 2023. So there seems to be whispers about this stuff going on for quite some time. What's even more creepy, and I'm going to break this down even more in the Itami video, but essentially this was a funeral poster that was made, some say for David, other people are saying this is actually for the Itami character that he invented that represented Celeste. And it says that they were born on February the 23rd and died on August 2025. And again, he's got that white shirt on with the blood stain on it, which is symbolic, very gross. And this whole Itami alter ego is something that we're going to be looking into in a lot more detail. And it's like, yeah, he spoke about killing his alter ego, whatnot, when he was interviewed for his new album by the Zach Sang Show. Creepy for sure. Very, very creepy indeed. So there's another post that's apparently an ex-girlfriend of David's who spoke out. She said, prayers to her family. I used to be close friends with David and we dated when I was 16 and he was 18. We've seen each other in real life twice max. And there's so much more, but he introduced me to religion and whatnot. So I'm so shaken up by the fact that he could have done this. I remember a Celeste and have a pic of them together that I've seen in the past. Okay. Now, some people are saying that he is still deleting posts. He's tampering with evidence. This very suspect TikTok that he reposted of somebody chopping up a bunch of meat with the caption that he added, me if I see her talking with other dudes. And people saying David's tampering with evidence. He's removing reposts, unfollowing certain people, and deleting certain content. This is just one of David's reposts that he's since removed from his TikTok. Like, if you weren't guilty, why would you remove something you originally found relatable or funny to begin with? If there's no truth to it and it's just his sense of humor, why would you try and hide it? People are saying reposts and following aren't evidence. They might act as leads, sure, but the police have access to those regardless of whether he deletes them, and it's probably sifting through those databases and not through his profile on the actual app. I believe he's guilty, but even if he wasn't, he would remove them. So, yeah, I don't think that's going to work. And there's another pictures going around. Some people are saying this is AI. Some people are saying it's real. But it was posted saying, okay, but can we talk about how these two are making us all jealous? And it seems to be a picture of David with Celeste in 2024. Now, some people are in the comments are saying that this image is AI. It's not real. To be honest, it looks kind of real. We don't know for sure. I think we are getting to saturation point now. I think most of the things that are out there have probably been discovered. I personally, look, I've covered a lot of different murder cases of different sorts, gangster rappers, people that got killed, famous people. And I always, when I'm researching these things, whether it happened a long time ago or whether it's currently going on, I always reach a saturation point where I stop seeing new evidence and I just start seeing reposts of all the old evidence over and over again. And that's usually an indication of me that kind of the investigation's coming to a close. It's kind of an indication that, okay, I think I've found everything that there is to be found. I think that there's been literally thousands of people poring over all of David's social media presence over the last few years, trying to piece together everything that he possibly could have posted. And I think we are reaching that saturation point where nearly everything's been found. As I said at the start of this video, it sounds like Celeste's body has been released by the coroner. We still don't have a definitive cause of death. They've been searching his property. Looks like they found a bunch of interesting things, but it's going to be a mountain of evidence for them to get through. And it does make you wonder when or even if this arrest will be made. You know, it's very clear that there was a relationship. There was something unacceptable going on between David and this underage girl, but the degree to which they're actually going to be able to prove that the murder happened, where it happened, find detail, if there's any blood in the property, that's going to be tough. And if they don't find that, they might struggle to prosecute him for a murder, and that would be pretty messed up if nobody ends up facing justice for this. But that was just a big update of everything that happened over the past 24 hours. I think we are reaching that point where there's not really much new to share. And I think the big next update that we might get is the possible arrest or an update from law enforcement. But I will be back tomorrow with some updates. I'm going to be doing an update on the Itami character that people are apparently saying represents their relationship and died. And I'm going to do another update about the possibility that David really cashing in off of all of the streaming numbers that he's doing ever since this situation blew him up. We've seen his monthly listeners on Spotify reach, past 30 million monthly listeners. We're up to 38 million monthly listeners. This is absolutely huge for him. And no doubt he's raking in the money over this situation. So we're going to do a breakdown of that and a couple other things. If anything new happens, I'll keep you guys updated. It was such a pain. I recorded this whole video twice. It was tough. I've tried to make sure that I've covered all the same points. I've rejected a few points that weren't that good that I made in the first version of this video. But that just goes to show you, man, I'm really grinding out to make sure that I get you all of the information. I feel like we're reaching the end of this investigation. I'm not sure we're going to find much more new interesting stuff. I will be putting together everything that I have found in one long video eventually for you guys, and I'll keep you updated on how that develops. But yeah, we're just going to keep following this thing. Hopefully we're going to see an update from the LAPD soon. And again, it's just a really sad story. So I appreciate you guys using me as your news source. There's a lot of other news that's been going on out there. I'm trying to give you guys just quick current updates. You know, I'm just really just locked in making videos for you guys. I was planning on just doing 5 videos a day until the end of the year before this topic even happened. It just so happens that this is a really crazy topic that I've really managed to you know, really just try and dig deep and do some good reporting on. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that and appreciated that. And I'll keep you guys updated on anything else that happens. But again, just so sad. Rest in peace, Celeste. And, you know, we're really just hoping that we can get to the bottom of this soon. Appreciate you guys watching. God bless. See you soon.